Hello and welcome. My name is Afro Joe, and this is another update video on my version of Luck being Landlord. I want to start by addressing a mistake in my previous video. The section that was dealing with duplicate protection did not work as intended because in the for loop it will always set it to true at the end. However, unique is never set back to false when it breaks. So it needs to add in a line that sets unique to false before the break, so that when it breaks and goes back and resets the while condition, it will see that it's false and know that it has to loop again. Okay, now let's have a look at the new stuff which I've added in the past couple weeks. So first you can see when I click play, it comes up with this intro screen which just describes what the game is and what you'll be doing. When you click continue, it takes you to the normal screen. You'll see one thing that's new here is this button inventory on the bottom right, which you can click at any time, and it brings up a screen that tells you exactly what symbols you have in the slot machine. As you can see, there's one of each of these symbols and then 20 empty slots. If I click close, another new thing is that when I click spin, you'll see there's an animation of the symbols moving on the grid here. So that if I click spin now, you'll see all the symbols falling down. Yep, so there was that animation. You'll also heard a sound effect for the gold, and that sound effect gets higher and higher pitch with each gold that it displays. Also, as you can see, I've added a bunch of new different symbols, which you can see here, and I put them into different rarity buckets so that some of them will appear more common than others. Now let's go into a bit of detail, starting with the inventory button. So when you click the inventory button, it does two things. It activates the panel that displays the inventory, and it calls this function which works out what symbols should be displayed. So let's have a look at that. So here is the show inventory script, which contains references to the text it wants to change, a reference to the slot machine script, which contains the list we want to display of all the symbols we have, and it contains this function here, which is the one called by the button when you click it. So this function has two steps to it. It needs to read the symbol list from the slot machine script and find out how many different symbols there are. So that's this unique symbol list. And then needs to know how many of each symbol there are. And so associated with that is this symbol frequency list. And that's what this for each loop does. It takes the symbol list, and for each one, if it's unique, it will add it to the end of the unique symbol list, and it will add a 1 to the end of the symbol frequency list. If it's not unique, it will find the index of where the symbol already exists in the unique symbol list, and then it will add 1 to the frequency of that index. So in the end result, we have a list of unique symbols and how frequently they appear with this corresponding index. So the rest of this function is about converting that data into text. So first, the inventory text is reset to nothing. And so this for loop then takes the unique symbol list, and for each one, it adds that name to the text. Now, if we look at what we're actually adding, what you can see is we've got this v offset, blah blah blah, sprite name, and then it takes the name. So what it's actually taking is the sprite that is the same name on a sprite sheet that I have. So rather than displaying the text, it will have a picture of the symbol. This remove bit is needed because they all say clone at the end, so this just removes the clone at the end. And then it has the x and then times by a frequency, then a comma. This part adds a new line after every 6 symbols it displays. And then this part in the heading, it puts the total number of symbols in the symbol list in those brackets next to the word inventory. The end result is then this, where we have 25 symbols total, 19 empty, 1 grape, 1 banana, and so on. And after 6, it goes on to a new line and will display the next 6. Next, let's look at how I've done the animation. So for the animation, I have created a bunch of squares, which let's zoom in on them. So if I highlight them all, you'll see that while you can't see them currently, they go all the way up here. So there's this tall column of squares, and in fact there's more at the top here in this section. When the animation plays, these squares will basically just slide down like this. Looking at the slot machine script, this spin animation function has been added to the spin function. So let's have a look at that. So this function activates the object that's going to be animated, and these two for loops populate the squares that are going to be animated. So the first loop populates the top cells with the same symbols that are displayed at the end. So the top animation cells will contain the final result. And then for the bottom cells, which is everything that you see in between, they're all entirely random. And then the animation triggers, and as I said, that is just the entire thing moving down at constant speed. For the sound, I'm using this audio manager script, which I got from following Brackeys YouTube tutorials on Unity. On Awake, this audio manager will create an audio source for each of the sounds that you have listed here. So these sounds are just instances of this sound class, which all it does is store these different variables so they could be added to this audio manager. Here we have the audio manager script. As I said, on Awake, it goes through that sound list and creates an audio source for each one and sets the clip volume and pitch. And then underneath I have this play sound function, which will simply play the sound when you give it the name of the sound you want to play, so that anywhere else in the script I can call this function. And here I have an overload for adding the pitch as well, because I want the pitch to increase as the amount of money you get increases. So here is where I'm calling that function to play the sounds in the slot machine script when displaying the money. So here, when it displays the money in that coroutine, is when it's going to play the sounds. So it first sets the initial pitch to 0.8, and then each time it plays the sound, it increases the pitch for the next time. Final new thing that's been added is that the symbols are now split into different rarity buckets. On the right here for the slot machine, you can see that the common symbols, uncommon, rare and legendary. And if I go over to the script for the symbol choices in the shop, you can see that it first has to choose the rarity, so a random number between 0 and 100 is chosen, and based on that number it chooses a rarity bucket and then uses that bucket for the next random one it chooses. Now I'm sure I'll be messing around with these numbers quite a lot and have them probably increase as the game goes on, so you get more and more rare symbols. So that's everything that's been newly added. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you want to check out this version, you can go to my itch.io page. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.